even after you've been out, not working here for 3 more months or something. It's like 90 days or so. But the details and the phone numbers are there for that. The other thing is just a news bulletin that Seekers put together for us regarding issue 2, and trying to get everybody to vote no on that. It's a family issue. And then also you see something, the international president will be here tomorrow evening. I hope that you had some communication on it via email or text or something. The locals in Columbus want to be present and show up for him. And so that's tomorrow night. And we on Broad Street. 395 East Broad. And get you a red T-shirt or something like that. That'll be good for us in a lot of different ways. And then MERP season is upon us, right? So I gave you a copy of the new MERP form. Per contract, it's 21 days after you know what your increase is, that you have to get that in.
What's the MERP?
MERP is the Merit and Effectiveness Review Panel. So if you don't like what you were given, then what you want to do is submit that to
based on your evaluation, right?
Based on the evaluative tool. So the letter will say you got this percent and across the board. If you don't think that's accurate, then you do that. We've had arguments about what's the evaluative tool. The only one that we've ever seen is the evaluation. You know what I mean? So as far as we're concerned, that tool is the evaluation. They've never proffered it.
I guess my question is, I have a guy that has an evaluation. He's got 2 does not meets. The rest are all meets. He got 1% because he does not meet employee. He can't actually MERP. You don't actually MERP the review or the review, right? You actually MERP if the percentage matches what the review says. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, what we've come down with, and partly because of Lee Paul, in the last cycle, Lee Paul says, "Can I grieve my review?" They said no. So we argued about it, and then they said, well, okay, we understand. The argument was simply this. On your MERP, you can change your rating, the money that you get. But you don't change the rating. The rating stays the same. Your evaluation stays the same. So all it does is change the money. Well, for some people, it's just as important not to have a bad evaluation in their file. So now we grieve the evaluations. And you can MERP the rating. You know what I mean? Or the money.
The money.
So what we've done most recently, because you've been involved, with Patrice. So Patrice, I said her name. So she grieved her evaluation, right? And if she doesn't like what comes out as far as the money is concerned, she will be MERPing that. She will use her evaluation as a part of disputing the money. So it kind of builds up a case for her.
What happens to those guys that haven't grieved their, how do we go about the guys that didn't grieve their
evaluation? It's not necessary. But what they should do is, and I think what the form kind of talked about is, they should bring documentation to tell why that's not the right rating for them. You don't necessarily have to change the tool, but you got to bring something that says that what you got in the end is incorrect. But it's a good strategy to have that evaluation adjusted and looked into if you can, because it gives you more, ammo to work with on the other one. But we've been pretty successful at that when we've done it. This is the second year in a row, where last year, Patrice, she only MERP, she didn't do the evaluation. So her evaluation last year didn't look too cool, but she got an adjustment to the money on doing the MERP panel. So this year, she's going to grieve that and look at it, see what it says, and then she might dispute that, because I think her supervisor probably didn't change. Just because the valuation was changed, she probably didn't change that. And that evaluation may have influenced what that number looked like anyhow, because I think she was at a does not
Yeah,
meet or
yeah,
something.
sure it does.
Yeah, well, it does
0.9
not
tied
meet
into
before
that.
we grieved it, and so it should have put that number up. So she may not know,
Right.
because, she may have gotten a number that matches meat, like you
Gotcha.
said. And of course, like you said before, the other thing that happens, if the things don't match, right?
Right.
So we've done that, I think 3 years in a row. We've grieved a hospital raise for members only, which doesn't, 3 years in a row. 2 years we grieved it, 1 year we threatened to grieve it. All years we got a money rating that was the top, that started out not at the top. So those have been effective 3 years in a row, so we know that we can be effective in grieving those things, even for members only. We can be effective. I think that her particular situation was sort of egregious, so it was a little easier than some might be. The close ones, it's a tough one, but we've been successful. We're 100% on that. And that is merit. Hers is full, all out, no cross the board merit. So, that's a little successful for that.
Good.
At the meeting, we talked about, that's the wrong agenda, but the meeting, we really talked about the issue too, and people being kind of confused about it, and reaching back out to those people to make sure that they know the issue too. It's in the Bill 5, and you still need to vote no on that. In addition to that, we talked about the fact that the polling numbers seem to be dropping a little. I think I read something in Atlanta today that said it was 57-30 something, and now it's down to 51.
Really?
51 to knock it out, and like 30 in the higher 30s to keep it. So we had to kind of do some work on our families and making phone calls and that kind of stuff, and making sure they still understand it's the same. We are being outspent about 3 to 1 for TV and mail. So for every one issue 2 commercial that says vote no, there's 3 that say vote yes. And the same is for the mailing. I don't know why labor is so cumbersome in getting the message out, but they are. Well, they're being outspent. They're just plain being outspent. So the only thing we can do really is be more active and involved, phone calls and that kind of thing. And I think that we'll still hold on to enough to get the vote on, but maybe not. Nominations for officers we talked about, and the nominations for officers for the local will occur at the November meeting. The polling is to occur in the December meeting, and not December meeting, in December. And Michael Mogan is the chair of the election committee, so he'll be looking for election committee members. You can't work on the committee if you're a candidate for office. So that's the only, and you have to be a member, to participate. That's the only kind of restrictions to that. Michael Secrets may be helping too, but Morgan is going to put together the dates for those things. We are not allowed to vote for the Secretary of State officer only because it doesn't really involve us that much, and I would hate for the bigger unit to skew the voting on the smaller unit, right? That we don't. Although that person does get a seat on the executive board, one seat on the executive board won't turn the whole animal down. And I think we're looking at how we should proportion that board. Currently, we have 3 from Secretary of State's office, and I don't know, if that's appropriate in all situations. They have 60 members, 60, and we have about 1,250 here. Top of that, at maybe 1,300. So it's a little representational query that I'll be taking up with the president board to see if there's something needed for that. Negotiations. upcoming. Regardless of who's here, what I'd like to set up is a situation where we start in December. With maybe some informal stuff, and as we move along to January, February, to get into formal negotiations legally, it doesn't have to start until 90 days before the expiration. Expiration now is June. So that brings in, June, May, April. So that means it really wouldn't have to start till April, but I want to see if we can get ahead with it, with some concepts that are there. One concept that just pulled up today, so even though this is a recap Saturday, is these attendance policies. It's a little interesting. I think we ought to, by way of grievance or appeal, we ought to challenge some of the intricacies of it. And so what that does is it really feeds what our issues are. And maybe in December we'll do a membership survey that starts to talk about what do you think should be in the contract. Money is money,
Right.
so that's there. But those other little things that either makes your work life miserable or to make it work better are the kind of things we're going to try to put forward. Right now we have a pending situation in classifications. Supposed to be trying to get that to arbitration, and I'd like to get it before negotiation. I'd like to get an answer. It's almost an all or nothing issue, because if an arbitrator decides they don't really have to have no classification system per se, then we swung